It's Arsenal versus PSV in the next round of the Champions League, the round of 16. And of course, the winner faces one of the Madrid sides, Real Madrid or Atletico, in the quarters. So there you go. That's your prize. There's quite a lot to chat about, actually, in terms of the dates as well, how this is kind of marrying up with certain Arsenal fixtures. It could be Liverpool in the semi-final, but that's a big if. Let's do our job. So I want to react to all that. First and foremost, I think a few were trying to join for the live, but we had some internet problems. So real apology on my end for that. I'll get this sorted, this internet ASAP. We can go back to doing lives. I wanted to react to this live with you all, but internet problems. So we're just going to do a reaction and get it up on the channel directly as an upload. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to know what you will make of this. Are you happy? Because it could have been final. It could have been Robin van Persie's final, and we'd have been on the other side of the draw as well, which does look a touch more favourable, I have to be honest. But I still want to explore this side of the draw, PSV in more detail, what it could mean later down the line, and we sort of can project a little bit ahead. But again, like I said, requires Arsenal to do their job. But let's go through the draw, and here it is. Obviously, there was a knockout phase, playoffs. We know that PSG, Bruges, Real Madrid, and PSV all did their job, and now they've been drawn. And there was a chance that we were going to be on the other side facing final basically, and that would have meant one of the German sides in the next round. But this is all to be ignored, and we'll look at it in a sec. It does feel like a slightly more favourable side of the draw, I have to be honest. But we are on the side with PSG, who are, I think, in great form. Liverpool, Aston Villa. We know that over 2 legs that'll be difficult. We know that Emery is a master of knockout football, especially in Europe. But again, let's wait till we have to worry about that, because in our way are PSV and one of the Madrid sides. Now, first things first, when it comes to PSV, just want to touch on that in a little bit more detail. Now, we've got an interesting European history with PSV, because last season we beat them 4-0, but I think we drew 1-1 away. And I didn't think, apart from the 4-0, we also played them the season before that, and I don't think we've ever really had it that easy. We actually, I think, lost the aggregate score, if you like, in the Europa League groups, losing 2-0 away from home, but beating them 1-0 at home. I think it was a Granit Xhaka goal quite late into the game. I don't think we've had it easy in 3 of the 4 games we faced them. But when we did play them at home, we beat them 4-0, and it was quite comfortable. That was our return, I believe, to Champions League action. And, there's quite a bit of pressure. Your first game under the lights in the Champions League. Arsenal handled it masterfully and absolutely battered PSV. So that's a kind of interesting dynamic that we've played them a few times. And I think it was in 06-07 or 07-08 that they knocked us out. I think they knocked us out on away goals, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was an Alex header, free kick. I can't remember. He scored so many goals against us. Remember Alex, who played for Chelsea? Well, when he was playing for PSV, he scored against us and knocked us out of the Champions League. I think it was on away goals, 1-1 at the Emirates. I'm pretty sure it's a header. So we've got a weird, interesting kind of history with PSV in this competition. We're facing them again for the 3rd season in a row. So there shouldn't be too many surprises, knowing the likes of Johan Bakayoko. Is he still there, for example? Players like that can hurt us. But at the same time, be wary, right? Let's have a look at PSV's recent results. If I just refresh my page for a second, and of course it doesn't want to refresh. That's just absolutely typical. Here we go. Right, I've got it in front of me. So let me share this. Apologies, one sec. Here we go. Right, so these are PSV's results. Of course, this is the big one, right? Knocking out Juventus, that's a big result. They did lose the away tie 2-1. They've actually got a couple draws in recent games there against Willem and Utrecht. If you look at the table, they're second, only losing 3 games so far out of 23 this season, scoring 71 goals, by far and away the top scorers in the Eredivisie, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. 71 goals. That's an extraordinary amount of goals they've scored. Well beyond, what's that, 22 beyond Ajax. So, they've got goals on their side, right? They've absolutely got goals on their side, and that's something that Arsenal will have to be wary of. We talk about having this defence that, we would put up against most in Europe. Well, they're going to absolutely be put to the test when we face PSV. But again, do our jobs. We're still going to be going into these games without Martinelli, without Bukayo Saka. So it's going to be difficult. We're going to learn in the next couple of weeks what the likes of Marino maybe up front has made, or Raheem Sterling. Winnier is a 17-year-old. We know the talent's there, but is the maturity there to play week in, week out, with a lot of pressure in these big competitions? We're going to learn about all these players. Ødegaard, can he rediscover his best form? So it's going to be a fascinating few weeks, and we're by no means going to have it easy. Like I said, they score a lot of goals. PSV, I'm no expert on them. That's just a quick glance at the numbers. They score a lot of goals. They've just knocked out Juventus. And we've had it, like I said, quite tricky in 3 out of 4 of the last games against them in the last few years. Although there's context, I think we rotated in the away game last year and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyway, PSV. If we beat PSV, let's have a little look at how it's looking. So, if we beat PSV, it's one of Real Atletico Madrid. Now, these games, 7th to the 9th of April, the first leg, we would be at home in the first leg, which is interesting. So let's just have a little look at Arsenal's games. So this is where PSV is placed. West Ham at home, Forest away, then PSV at home, but that's basically a week after. Then United away on that weekend, and then we're at home against PSV. So that's probably fairly nicely placed, I suppose, even though it's 3 away games in a row. There's quite a bit of time in between them all. So what did we say it was? It was the 7th, 9th of April. So in between Everton away. So if we made it through, we would have one of Atletico Real at home, and that will come straight after Everton away, and then before Brentford at home, and then obviously we'd have the away tie before we go to Ipswich away. That's not too badly placed. That's really not too badly placed. I don't think you could look at that and go, oh no, the fixtures look an absolute nightmare. Obviously the problem we've got is injuries to the front line, but if by this point we've got Bukayo Saka and Martinelli back, which is absolutely the expectation at the moment, then you should be able to navigate that. But again, do the job first against PSV. Now, what's interesting, if we just go back to this tab, is if we did something spectacular and beat Real Atletico, go to Madrid and win, and find ourselves in our first semi-final since I think 2009, 2010, if we were to do that, we could face Liverpool. It could be Villa, it could be PSG, and hell, let's not, completely write off Club Brugge. But if we played them, we'd be looking at a 28th of April to 30th of April first leg, which would be, go back to Arsenal's fixtures, a second leg. So you'd have, would we be at home first leg? Yeah, I think we would. So I think we'd be at home first leg, and that would be in between Palace and Bournemouth, so potentially 3 home games in a row. But after Bournemouth, we would maybe be travelling to Anfield again if they've got a big game against PSG. We have a lot of work to do to get past one of the Madrids. Either way, it'll be really difficult, and that's even if we get to there, and PSV will make it really difficult for us. But if we make it, then you're looking at potentially Anfield twice in a week, in a Champions League semi-final second leg, and what hopefully is a game that still has some ramifications in the title race. But again, we're still a way off that. I mean, that's with 3 games to go. So let me stress people, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. It's a lot of big if we do this, if we do that. But got a dream, eh? And it's nice, it's fun to look ahead. It's fun to look at what the potential is, what drama could unfold this season. But look, let me put it this way, right? My expectations is absolutely that Arsenal make it past PSV, even with the injuries we've got. And look, I know that this club didn't do enough in January, but I'm still, the pressure's still there on that team because I still think they're good enough. I expect us to beat PSV, though. I totally acknowledge it's not a done deal. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have to work really hard to get those 3 points, to get that round of 16 win and get ourselves through to the quarters. After that, though, I want us to look competitive. I know Real Madrid just blew City out the water. I know they've got Mbappe, and I don't expect us to go through if we face them. Atletico will be really difficult because they know Europe, and Diego Simeone knows what he's doing. But, I want us to look competitive, and imagine if we do something special. Imagine if we do something special and find ourselves in that semi-final. But it's all dreaming at the moment. And it is more a dream than a belief. It is more a hope than a belief. Of course it is. We haven't, even last season when we were going into the Champions League in fine form, and Bayern weren't the Bayern of old. They lost the title to Leverkusen. There was a European know-how that Bayern Munich had that we didn't. And I sort of worry about that too. But hey ho, you can dream, you can hope. At the moment, it's PSV, and the winner goes on to face a nice trip to Madrid, whether it's at the Wanda Metropolitano or the Bernabeu, whichever it is, it's going to be one of them. And that's going to be a fascinating round of 16 tie as it is. Real Madrid to get to a quarters will have had to have beaten their rivals Atletico and Man City. So, I mean, if they go on to win it again, you just, their European heritage, what they've done in this competition is unbelievable. But can Arsenal be a part of that conversation in the quarters? That would be pretty spectacular. Is PSV in the way first? We've beaten them twice in the 4 games we've played them in the last couple of years. But like I said, in 3 of those 4 games, I don't think we've looked that comfortable in all of them, except for the 4-0 win. So let's see how we look in this one. When was the date? I had it in front of me. Bear with me 1 second. Here it is. There we go. 4th of March and I think the 11th. So there we go. Let's see. Everyone, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's the Champions League draw. It's going to be tricky if we want to win it. We're on the harder side. I didn't even mention the other side of the draw. I mean, you had a look at it. Feels a touch easier that side. But hey, if you want to win these competitions, you're never going to have it easy. So let's see what Arsenal are made of. Catch you all in a bit.